about what's going on in Magic the Gathering, specifically Commander, related to Commander, and things of the like. So, we finished the second week of Ikoria previews, and we got a couple of interesting cycles. The first and foremost being tricycle lands. Is that not crazy? They're lands that have the type forest, island, mountain, plains, swamp, and they have cycling on them. They do come into play tapped. And since they come into play tapped, I do predict that a few more people are going to be looking at ways to make them come into play not tapped, which means we're probably going to see some Amulet of Vigor see a little bit more play than it was before. I like the lands. If I happen to pull some from my box, great, I'll use them, but they're not lands that I will particularly go out of my way to get. I mean, they're great and all, but I don't think that the mana bases that I use in my decks really need that much help right now. Now, if I didn't have them, well, not that I didn't have them, but if I felt that my decks really needed them, I might seek them out then. But as it stands right now, I don't believe there's something that's really going to benefit my decks per se. Another interesting cycle they came out with is the Ultimatum cycle. They completed, this is actually an old cycle, they completed the old cycle, I believe, and now you have it in the other wedges, this one being Abzan and Sultai and Temur, and they're good. The only one I don't really much care for is the Jeskai one, but that's okay, because most of my decks, I only have really one deck that really cares about life gain. So it's not really one for me. The one I am interested is for the, let's see, that's going to be the Genesis Ultimatum, which is look at the top 5 cards of your library, put any number of permanent cards from among them onto the battlefield and the rest into your hand, and then you exile it. The Emergent Ultimatum, search your library for up to 3 monocolored cards with different names, exile them. An opponent chooses one of those cards, shuffle that card into your library. You may cast the other 2 without paying their mana cost, and then you exile Emergent Ultimatum. And then there's Eerie Ultimatum. Return any number of permanent cards with different names from your graveyard to the battlefield, especially that one. That one's the Abzan one. And since I already plan on building Kithril, the Aspect Warper, which is also Asban, same colors, same color wedge, I will definitely be using that one in that deck. It just seems, no-brainer, right? Another interesting card that was previewed this week was Giganta, the Wellspring. It's a companion, which is one of those cards that you can use outside of the 99 out of the 100, effectively being your 101st card if you build to the restrictions of the companion. And on this card, no card in your starting deck has more than these. No card in your starting deck has more than one of the same mana symbol and its mana cost. So you're not using the ultimatums. Mythos of Luliana, just to name another card that was previewed this week. You're not using those types of cards. Older cards, Wrath of God. What is that one? The new Teferi, the one with Teferi on the it's a wipe. I think it's what is it? Teferi's. You know what? Never mind. Let's just not worry about that. You see what I'm saying with the ultimatums? They have the same mana cost symbols in their mana cost. That's what it's saying you can't build with. But you can add Wooburg, white, blue, black, red, and green by tapping it, and this mana can't be spent to pay generic mana cost. So the mana cost, that's just the number on the top. And I am actually going to use this card in my multicolor Ramos tribal deck. I think that's where it's going to be in the 99. It's not going to be that companion restriction is just too much for that deck. It's already multicolor tribal, no cards that are just monocolored in that deck anyway. So it's already got a pretty it's already got a good restriction on the build on it already. I don't feel like it needs any more than that. The question is, what am I going to take out to put in it? That is something I'm going to conquer at a later date. I'll tell you that right now, because that's always the hard part, is figuring out what to take out. Next, another card that is kind of interesting that they previewed was Narset of the Ancient Way. Her +1 is you gain 2 life, add a blue, a red, or a white. Spend this mana only to cast non-creature spells. Very Narset. -2, draw a card, then you may discard a card. That's looting from the red there. When you discard a non-land card, this way, Narset of the Ancient Way deals damage equal to that card's converted mana cost to target creature or planeswalker. Yeah, that's like kind of defending itself a little bit. -6, you get an emblem with whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this emblem deals 2 damage to any target. That emblem will probably be why it makes its way into some Super Friend decks, I imagine. It's pretty good. The mana acceleration there on the +1, the gain life, man, whatever. But you know, if you're playing in a Super Friends deck anyway, you'll probably make use of that mana. Moving on, another card that I'm interested in is Song of Creation. Teamer. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. I like that. Whenever you cast a spell, draw 2 cards. Really like that. At the beginning of your end step, discard your hand. Don't like that. But that's why you have cards like Library of Lang, and you have payoffs for discarding your hand. And the reason why I really like this card is it's got red, and guess what card I really like that's red? You may not know it, but it's Underworld Breach. Underworld Breach is a fantastic card that, yeah, you only get it for one turn, but whenever you have it for that turn, it's amazing because it lets you cast spells from your graveyard by exiling 3 cards, and then I believe paying the mana cost of that spell. And you just do that with a bunch of low-costed stuff, and not really sure who the commander is going to be yet. I may put it in Animar, may not, just to see what happens with it. And Animar, I usually don't have much in the way of a hand anyway, so I have a lot of card draw in that deck for that reason. So I may replace one of the card draw spells with Song of Creation and just see how it goes. It may go pretty well, it may not. Another 2 cards actually that I saw come out of the Ikoria previews week 2 would be Kinnan, Bonder Prodigy, and what's that little fox dude? Oh god, what's its name? It's the Boros one. Zerda, I guess. The Dawnbreaker. The important thing about these 2 is that they make infinite mana with old Basalt Monolith, and that's why if you're looking at the MTG finance side of things, all the versions of Basalt Monolith have been going up in price for that reason. All of them, because you have 2 cards, in a single set that go up, that go infinite with Basalt Monolith. I'm sure there's other cards out there. That's just the one that everybody realizes. I know, right? Surprise! Another card that goes infinite with another 2 cards that go infinite with Basalt Monolith. Whirlwind of Thought. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. A non-creature spell. Important distinction. Non-creature spell. And of course, you have Narset there on the art. And that's just a solid card. That card's gonna do work. So, again, definitely in a Planeswalker deck we'll see play. And I'm pretty sure in a lot of Jeskai decks it will see play. There's no way it won't. It's just a solid card for 4 mana. It's gonna do work. Especially if you're playing more on the lower end of the curve on your CMC, it's gonna do work. It's gonna definitely do work. Definitely. It's hard for me to see that it's not going to do a lot of work for you. Titan's Nest. Next one. Titan's Nest. I thought Delve was too strong. And I didn't think that they would print more cards with Delve, but here we are. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may put that card in your graveyard. Exile a card from your graveyard. That is the activated cost. You can do that at instant speed. Add a colorless mana. Spend this mana only to cast colored spells without X in the mana cost. Man, that is not really that big of a. That's really not that big of a restriction, especially when you have plenty of cards like the one we were just talking about, Song of Creation. So if you're playing, you don't have to be playing 5 color, but like Idris, you can be playing these 2 cards in, and oh, man, you're gonna be on fire. I don't know what they're thinking. I mean, I do know what they're thinking. They said a long time ago they were gonna start pushing the power level of standard sets, and they really have. The past 3 sets, Throne, Throne of Eldraine, Theros, and now Ikoria. Yeah, that it's been pushed. Last card I want to talk about is Mythos of Ulana, with that sweet Seb McKinnon art. Oof. I've got to get that art on my wall. Create a token that's copy of target permanent. That target permanent. Not just yours, anyone on the board. If red and green was spent to cast a spell, instead create a token that's a copy of that permanent, except the token has, when this permanent enters the battlefield, if it's a creature, it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. I think this one's the best of the set, simply because create a token that's a copy of target permanent. That's that's crazy. That's just nuts. That's just knuckin' futz, as someone once said. It's just strong. I think that card's going to see, for 2 and 2 blue, I think it's going to see play. I think it's going to see play, especially in teamer decks. Why not? It just seemed like it's going to be a really good card. And I don't know what else to say about it. Alright, so in that case, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic I'd like to talk about, and that's going to be the Commander 2020 product. Specifically, why they don't like putting in good mana bases. And I don't know why they don't like putting... I have one theory, let's be honest. And that is the secondary market. That's why. Because they don't want... So they have something that they call reprint equity. And that is referring to the secondary financial market price of cards. And they basically use that reprint equity to push products. So I don't know internally, of course, because I don't work for them, the scale or how they determine how much equity to use in each product that has reprints in it. But it's obviously very, very conservative. I mean, because they keep the reprint value in these commander decks right around $80 to $110, and they don't put in a lot of big hits. Like, I think the biggest one in the Commander 2020 was going to be the Locust God and Fluctuator, and Fluctuator only spiked like 2 days before it was fully released. You know, whenever it was obvious that one of the decks was going to be heavily cycled, Fluctuator started getting bought out, and then boom, hey, Fluctuator is going to actually be reprinted in the set. But the old copy is still pretty pricey. Locust God was the highest one that was going to be reprinted, and I don't know, man. I don't know what. You either acknowledge the secondary market or you don't, because it hurts these products to acknowledge it, and that's what they do. I mean, they really do acknowledge it. You can see that through the Secret Lair product. They acknowledge it. In a court of law, I am freaking positive that you could prove it. Any person with anybody could. Damn near. I'll be honest with you. I know I could. I could prove it to a judge. It'd be beyond a reasonable doubt that they pay attention to the secondary market. It's obvious. And I know they've said it in a roundabout way, but not directly, because they legally can't. Because if they do that, they'll open themselves up to gambling lawsuits, or literally, So they can't come out and say that they pay attention to it, but they do, and they have to be careful what they say so that they avoid any of the gambling laws that come with it. But whenever you have a product that people are willing to pay money for, and the product is worth more than what you're paying for it because of the secondary market, it's hindering what they're reprinting. These mana bases and these commander decks are if you're playing them in isolation, like them against each other, then it's fine because they're on the same power level, but that's not the real world. These decks are going to be taken out and they're going to be played in just mostly not in that fashion. They're going to be played against custom decks, other precons that are outside of that. They're going to be modified themselves, so it's unrealistic to say that they're only going to be played against each other. Yeah, that's just hogwash. But because of the secondary market, they don't want people scalping these products. It just manages to keep the mana bases crap. Yeah, they're not the worst mana bases, but they're not the greatest either. They really could be doing more. And honestly, I'd rather more of that reprint equity be used for the land base than the rest of the cards, because the land bases can be used in any deck that you're building, right? They're much more universal than the rest of the cards in the deck. Let's be honest, they just are. Because you need that mana. You need mana to play every game. You can't play without mana, so yeah. So, that's there. All right. So I also want to talk about which deck I think will be the most popular, and it's either going to be the Timeless Wisdom deck or the Enhanced Evolution deck. Timeless Wisdom, I think, is the Cycle deck, and the Enhanced Evolution is going to be the Mutate deck. I think the Enhanced Evolution, purely because the novel mechanic that is Mutate, people just want to play with a new mechanic, so I think that one's going to be really popular. And the Cycling one looks like it's probably going to be the strongest, so people are going to want to play with that one because turns out people like winning games, and they will do what they think they need to do to win games. So if they want to play the strongest deck, if they think they need to play the strongest deck to win games, that's what they're going to do. And on to the last two things I want to talk about. Playing ETH Online. I've been playing ETH Online this week far more than the previous week, and I have been really enjoying it. It's been great. I've been playing on the Play ETH Discord. I use a Logitech C525 camera. It's actually what I'm recording on right now, just so you can see the quality. It's what I recorded last week on, and it's alright. The way I have it set up, I have a light that is bouncing off the wall in front of my desk, and that helps with getting a lot of glare off. I have an overhead light, but it is offset. It's not directly over my mat, so it's not bouncing directly back up into the camera, also causing glare on the cards. It's really easy to get a game going. You just get on there on Play EDH on the Discord, and you set your rank up in the bot command after reading the welcome file, because the welcome file will tell you how to figure out what rank you want to be at, what kind of games you want to play. Most of mine are in the mid power, and I have a couple that are in the high power, but I've not really played any high power games yet. Most of it has been in the mid power games, and they've been going well. I mean, most of the time, most people are playing, it's right, and they're getting it right. Not much on the way of disparities. I will also say that there's going to be a link below in the comments to the Spike Feeders video that I watched before I got set up, because there's some etiquette things that are very important. It makes the game go a lot better when you don't use things like things that search your opponent's library, or you look at an opponent's hands, things like that. It helps if you don't use things like that, because I mean, I know we're doing the whole trust thing. It's all on trust anyway, but it really makes the game go smoother if you don't have to do things like that. Again, if you just watch the Spectre's video from about 2 months ago, they spent about an hour going over just playing ETH Online on paper, and it's pretty good. I enjoyed it, and that's why I'm going to link to it in the description below. Get online, play some paper ETH Online. There's X-Mage and what's the other one? That other one that I don't really care about either. I tried them. The thing is, I just don't feel like sitting there and putting in these decks into the deck list. If I'm doing that, I just want to go ahead and put it on Tapped Out. I know that you can import it over from Tapped Out, but that has not been a successful 1 + 1 = 2 thing. There's problems getting it over, and yeah, I know. I just don't care when I already have it set up now to play paper ETH Online. I'm already playing Magic. It's cool, and I'm playing with the cards that I own, and everybody's been really cool, and it's been nice playing with people from different countries, and overall it's been a really good experience. Yeah, I've just enjoyed it. I highly encourage. You can use your phone as a webcam too. That's in there on the Play EDH. They go over apps on how to use your phone as a webcam. If you don't have one already, there's ways to play just on your phone or a tablet by having someone stream the game to Discord, and that has worked. There's plenty of ways to play EDH during this trying time. Although for me, it's not really been that different. The only really big difference for me, because I'm essential, is that I don't go to my LGS on Wednesdays and Fridays to play EDH, and that is unfortunate, because I really enjoy going to my LGS and playing Magic there. Oh, so after the quarantine's over, and everybody goes back to normal, I still will be playing EDH Online. I will just not be doing it as frequently. I'll probably just move it to the Saturday nights, every other Saturday night or something like that. Or if I get invited somewhere, because that'd be cool. Alright, so last thing I want to talk about is MTG Finance, and prices have started to move on Mystery Booster singles. We have the singles that have been cheap for a while now, so you had your chance. A lot of them are still pretty good. A lot of the second wave of Mystery Booster boxes are starting to get out there from LGSs, and that's good. That should help to keep some of the prices down, but you have cards that are still going up in price. I was watching the Heroes and Legends weekly price update by John. I watch that one every Sunday. And he started to include Mystery Booster singles that are starting to go up. So that tells you, people are, despite the economy, they're buying Magic. Crazy. And even though that we have like millions of people out of work in the U.S. alone, I think it'll take a long time for the market as a whole for MTG to come back to pre-COVID-19 levels. But what you're seeing right now is cards that are directly used with the cards that were previewed, right? So the Basalt Monolith, for instance, that combos with the Bonder Prodigy and the Boros Companion. You're seeing cards like that spike. Now, whether this is natural or buyouts or whatever, I don't know. But people are spending money. That's the bottom line. But they're not spending money on just willy-nilly. Anyway, that's my prediction on how on the market. It'll just take a long time to come back to pre-19 levels. You got to get a whole lot of people back to work before they start spending money on luxury items such as Magic the Gathering. Wow. 25 minutes just about. That was much longer than I intended. But here we are. Thanks for sitting through this video. Hope you enjoyed Shuffling Thoughts. Goodbye.